You're just money to me. Have you ever heard something so honest? It didn't even sound cruel at first. That's how it landed. Not shouted, not emotional, just said. Like a fact. Before we continue, please hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and turn on the notification bell for updates. I'm Valora Dane. I'm 68 years old, and last night at dinner, my daughter looked me in the eye and reduced me to a number. We were sitting at a table I paid for, in a house I bought, eating food I arranged, as always. The kind of quiet, polished evening that looks perfect from the outside. And yet, something was off. Lyris barely looked up from her phone. Her tone was impatient, distracted. "Did you send that transfer?" she asked, before even saying hello. No warmth, no pause, just expectation. I watched her for a moment, really watched her. Have you ever realised something about someone years too late? I asked calmly, "Which transfer?" She sighed, actually sighed. "The one I told you about. I need it by tomorrow." Need. That word again. And then I said something I hadn't said in years. No. It wasn't loud. It wasn't dramatic. But it changed the air in the room. She finally looked up, and that's when it came. "You're just money to me." No hesitation, no regret, just clarity. I didn't argue. That's the part most people don't understand. No lecture, no anger, no scene. I smiled. Not because it didn't hurt, but because it explained everything. 20 years, reduced to a single sentence that made perfect sense. I stood up, excused myself, and walked out of the room while she was still talking, already moving on, already assuming nothing would actually change. But something had already changed. Upstairs, I closed the door behind me, and for the first time in years, I stopped hesitating. I picked up my phone, dialed a number I hadn't used in months. When they answered, I didn't waste time. "Yes," I said. "We're activating it." A pause on the other end, then, "All of it?" I looked at the framed photos on my desk. Birthdays, graduations, vacations. "Yes," I repeated. "All of it." Silence. Then typing. Then confirmation. I ended the call, opened my tablet, and signed 3 documents without rereading them. No shaking hands, no second thoughts. Just execution. Down the hall, Lyris laughed at something on her phone. Unaware. Completely unaware. I packed a small suitcase. Nothing excessive, just what I needed. And before I left, I stopped outside her bedroom door. I didn't knock. I didn't go in. I just stood there for a moment. Then I turned away. Because by morning, everything she thought she owned would be gone. Lyris didn't wake up entitled. That would be too simple, too easy to blame. People don't become like that overnight. They're built that way, quietly, gradually. And if I'm being precise, I built her. After my husband died, Lyris was 9. Too young to understand loss, but old enough to feel the absence. The house became quieter, emptier. So I filled it. Not with conversations, not with time, with things. Have you ever tried to replace presence with provision? It works, for a while. New clothes when she was sad, trips when she felt bored, private schools, tutors, experiences. Every discomfort solved. At first, it felt like care. Then it became habit. By the time she turned 18, I gave her a credit card. "No limit?" she asked. "No limit," I said. I told myself it was trust. But trust without boundaries isn't trust. It's surrender. At 24, she mentioned wanting her own place, not renting, owning, something appropriate. I handled everything. The purchase, the legal structure, the payments. Her name wasn't on the deed, mine was, but she never asked, and I never corrected her. Because it was easier. Do you see the pattern? Every time there was a moment to draw a line, I erased it instead. There were signs. Of course there were. Bank alerts that didn't make sense. Advisors gently warning me, "You're overexposed, Valora. This isn't sustainable. You need structure." I nodded, then ignored them. Even when Lyris started speaking differently. "You can afford it. It's not a big deal for you. Why are you making this complicated?" Complicated. That word stayed with me. Because to her, I wasn't a person navigating decisions. I was a system, an unlimited one. And I allowed that belief to grow unchecked. Until last night. Until she finally said it out loud. "You're just money to me." The truth doesn't always arrive as a revelation. Sometimes it arrives as confirmation. That night, sitting alone in my office, I didn't feel shocked. I felt aligned. Because everything she believed was technically correct. I had made sure of that. Every account, every asset, every access point in her life was connected to me. Structured through layers she never questioned. She thought she owned her life, but legally, she didn't own any of it. And that's the part I never told her. Not because I was hiding it, but because I never thought I'd need to use it. Until now. I opened my tablet again, scrolled through a file I created 5 years ago. A contingency plan. Not emotional, not reactive. Precise. Calculated. Final. My finger hovered for just a second, then pressed authorize. Because at exactly 6 a.m., every illusion my daughter lived in would collapse at once. At 6:03 a.m., Lyris tried to buy coffee. That's how it started. Not with a dramatic collapse, not with alarms or police or chaos. Just a simple transaction. Declined. She frowned, probably thinking it was a glitch. Swiped again. Declined. A second card. Declined. Now, pause for a second. What would you think? Fraud? Bank error? Bad signal? That's exactly where her mind went. She stepped aside, irritation building, tapping her phone quickly. Bank app. Error. Another app. Logged out. Password reset. Denied. The first crack appeared. Not fear. Annoyance. "Oh, this is ridiculous," she muttered, already dialing customer support. But while she waited, notifications began stacking, one after another. Account access restricted, authorization revoked, session expired. Her expression shifted. Slightly. Still controlled, still assuming control would return. Because it always had. Until it didn't. Across the city, I sat by the window with my morning tea. Quiet. Still. Watching confirmations come in, every institution responding, every instruction executed. Clean, immediate, final. Back with Lyris. "Ma'am, I'm not seeing any active accounts under your authorization." What do you mean? She snapped. I mean, there's nothing here. Click. Call ended. Now the irritation cracked open. She called me. Once, twice, 5 times. I didn't answer. Then she tried something else. Her car. She walked into the parking garage, keys in hand, still holding on to that last thread of certainty. Pressed unlock. Nothing. Again. Nothing. She opened the app. Access denied. Now, panic. Real panic. Have you ever watched certainty disappear in real time? It's not loud. It's quiet, tight, controlled. Until it isn't. She rushed home, or what she believed was her home. The building doors opened, but her unit didn't. She stared at the keypad, entered the code again, then again. Red light. Denied. The concierge approached, careful, professional. Ms. Lyris, ownership of this unit was transferred at midnight. Silence. That's the moment. That exact moment when the story in your head collapses. This is a mistake, she said. But her voice didn't sound convinced anymore. Because deep down, she knew exactly who could do something like this. And exactly who would. She stood there for a long second, then asked for access. Temporary. Granted under supervision. The door opened slowly. Everything inside was untouched. Perfect. Controlled. Like nothing had changed. Except everything had. She walked into her bedroom, and there, centered neatly on her bed, was a single envelope. Her name on it, in my handwriting. She didn't open it immediately, because now she understood. This wasn't an accident. This was intentional. And whatever was inside that envelope was going to explain everything. Or end it. The envelope wasn't thick. It didn't need to be. Laris stood at the edge of the bed, staring at it like it might change if she waited long enough. Like the answer inside could somehow soften. It didn't. She picked it up slowly. Her name, written in my handwriting. Clean, controlled, familiar. That's what unsettled her the most. Not anger, not chaos. Precision. She opened it. Inside, 3 things. A letter, a key, and a printed financial statement. Her eyes went to the numbers first, or rather, the absence of them. Every account she recognized, 0. Every access point, revoked. Every line tied back to a single authority, Valora Dane. Me. Her breath caught, not dramatically, just enough to break rhythm. Then she unfolded the letter. No long paragraphs, no emotional overflow, just structure. You said I was money. A pause. So I removed money. Another line. Now we can see what remains. She read it again, slower this time, as if the meaning might shift. It didn't. There was no apology in it, no anger either, just a statement of action. Her hand tightened around the paper. This is insane, she whispered to no one. Then she grabbed her phone, called me again. Voicemail. Again, voicemail. Her messages started controlled. Mum, call me. Something's wrong. Then sharper. What did you do? Then louder. This isn't funny. Fix it. I listened to none of them. Not yet. Back in the room, she looked down at the last item. The key. Small, plain, almost insulting in its simplicity. Attached to it, a short note. 6 months, paid. An address, across the city. Not the kind of place she was used to, not even close. No driver, no concierge, no systems waiting to respond. Just a door. And time. Limited time. That's when the anger shifted. Not gone, but cracked. Because beneath it, something unfamiliar started forming. Uncertainty. Throughout the day, everything unravelled further. Her friends stopped replying once she couldn't split bills. Subscriptions failed. Services disappeared. Even the smallest conveniences, gone. Piece by piece, the life she moved through effortlessly rejected her. That night, she stood inside the studio apartment. Bare walls, neutral colours, silence. No excess, no cushion. She sat on the edge of the bed, the letter still in her hand. "You're just money to me," she whispered it back. But it didn't sound the same anymore. For the first time in her life, nothing arrived when she demanded it. No backup, no override, no mother fixing things quietly in the background. Just space. And a question she had never needed to ask before. Who am I without it? So what actually happened? Not emotionally, not symbolically, logically. Everything Laris lost that morning was never hers to begin with. Every account she used was tied to a revocable trust, controlled entirely by me. Her name existed only as an authorized user, not an owner. The apartment? Held under a holding entity I created years ago. The car? Leased through a corporate structure under my authority. Even her credit access, extensions of my financial identity. 5 years ago, after the third warning from my advisor, I built a contingency plan. Not out of anger, out of pattern recognition. Legal documents, transfer protocols, asset reallocation paths. All prepared, all dormant. Until she said the one sentence that confirmed I would eventually need it. "You're just money to me." So I removed the variable, and what remained was real. Now, here's what that decision actually caused. The first week, Lyris tried to fight it. She contacted banks, lawyers, old connections. Every path led to the same answer. You don't own these assets. Legally, there was nothing to reclaim. Socially, things shifted fast. Friends who once lingered disappeared when she couldn't maintain the same lifestyle. Invitations stopped. Messages slowed. Not dramatically, just quietly. That kind of silence says more than confrontation ever could. Personally, that's where the real change began. She took the apartment, because she had no alternative. She searched for work, with no recent experience, no references she earned herself. Rejections came first. Then one offer. Entry level, modest pay, structured hours. 3 months passed. Not transformation, adjustment. She learned to check balances before spending, to pause before deciding, to wait. Then one day, I received a message. No greeting, no apology, just, "I got a job." I read it twice, not because it was surprising, but because of what it didn't include. No request, no expectation. For the first time, no transaction. I responded hours later. Then keep it. That was all. No reinstated accounts, no restored access. Because restoring it would erase the point. As for me, the house is quieter now, predictable. Some relatives called me extreme, others understood more than they said. Legally, everything remains intact. Personally, there is distance, but it is honest distance. And that matters more than proximity built on illusion. Weeks later, I visited the coastline, the same place I used to take her as a child. The water hadn't changed, neither had I. But the structure between us had. She once said I was money. Now, she has the space to become something that isn't tied to me at all. And this time, whatever she builds will finally be hers.